Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Against the Sky Supreme based on novel. So let's start. The girl in the golden skirt said coldly, "No excuse can change the fact that you are pretending to be the deity. Suffer to death." At this moment, Tan Yun suddenly said, "Senior, please be slow. The junior has something to say." "No need to say, just say one more word, the deity will kill you together." The girl in the golden skirt looked at Tan Yun. Suddenly, he paused, staring at the divine sword in Tan Yun's hand, frowning, as if thinking of something, and asked, "The sword in your hand is the Hongmeng slaughtering sword. Tell the truth, you and Hongmeng. What is the relationship with the Supreme Lord? Why do you have this sword?" Tan Yun was stunned for a moment, and thought to himself, "Listen to her tone, she respects me very much." Looking at Tan Yun, who was in a daze, the girl in the golden skirt said sharply, "Is this deity asking you something? Tell me the truth, otherwise, I will kill her." Tan Yun took a deep breath and hurriedly said, "Respected Senior Kunpeng, before the junior answers your question, can you answer a question for the junior?" "Come on," the girl in the golden skirt said impatiently. "Senior Kunpeng, listening to your tone, do you respect the Supreme Lord Hongmeng?" Tan Yun asked cautiously. Hearing this, the girl in the golden skirt seemed to think of something, her eyes softened, and then she showed deep gratitude. "Well, if it wasn't for the Supreme Lord Hongmeng, who saved my parents back then, there would be no me." "Save your parents? Hongmeng Supreme saved your parents?" Tan Yun couldn't help muttering to himself, trying to remember something. Hearing Tan Yun's questioning tone, the girl in the golden skirt was furious. "What's your tone? Courting death?" As soon as the words fell, the girl in the golden skirt raised her jade palm, and wanted to kill Tan Yun, when Tan Yun suddenly thought of something and shouted, "Don't kill me. I know your parents, and you are the golden pupil of Kunpeng. Right? You golden-eyed Kunpeng clan are the kings of the Kunpeng clan, am I right?" Hearing this, the girl in the golden skirt widened her beautiful eyes. "How did you see that the deity belongs to the Kunpeng family with golden eyes?" Then, the girl in the golden skirt suddenly turned gloomy. "This deity's parents have passed away for a long time. You dare to deceive this deity, you really deserve to die." Tan Yun hurriedly said, "Don't do it, listen to my explanation." With that said, Tan Yun waved his right arm, and set up a soundproof barrier above the waterfall. He said hurriedly, "When I was not dead, I met a pair of Kunpeng with golden pupils and was chased and killed. When they were dying, I killed their pursuers and rescued them. If you are their daughter, then your father's name is Jing Xiong, and your mother's name is Jing Ku. They didn't have a surname at that time, it was the surname I gave them, because I used to be Jing Yi, the Supreme Lord of Hongmeng." Hearing this, the girl in the golden skirt looked at Tan Yun with shock in her beautiful eyes, and then she said coldly, "Don't think that you know the origins of my parents' surnames, and with the Hongmeng slaying sword in your hand, you can pretending to be the Supreme Lord of Hongmeng. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it or not. I can show you the memory image." Tan Yun flicked his right arm, and a pang of divine power transformed into a picture from the void. In the picture, two huge and seriously injured golden-eyed Kunpeng crawled in front of former Tan Yun, respectfully saying, "Thank you, Lord Hongmeng, for your help. You don't need to be too polite, get up." Tan Yun smiled slightly and asked the two beasts to stand up and said, "Kunpeng is divided into 6 clans, and your golden-eyed Kunpeng clan, although there are few in number, is the first of the 6 Kunpeng clans in strength. Back then, your ancestors, following this supreme being, were successful in fighting against the demon army outside the realm, but unfortunately they all perished one after another. Alas." Tan Yun sighed and did not continue, but said, "You Jintong Kunpeng clan, who have made outstanding achievements in battle, from now on, I will give you Jintong Kunpeng's surname, Jing." Hearing this, The two golden pupils, Kunpeng, were excited and shed tears, because they knew that in the Hongmeng God realm, no one except Hongmeng Supreme is allowed to use this surname. The villain Jing Xiong, the villain Jing Ku, thank you Lord Hongmeng for your care. The two golden-eyed Kunpeng crawl in front of Tan Yun, tears welling up in their eyes. No gift. Tan Yun said. Immediately, the memory image was interrupted. At this moment, the girl in the golden skirt looked at Tan Yun, her delicate body was trembling, she knelt down in the air, and she couldn't help but kowtow, little girl Jinglu, kowtow to the Supreme Lord. Fang is the little girl who has eyes, but doesn't know Mount Tai, please forgive me. Tan Yun leaned over, helped Jinglu up, and said with a smile, no need to be more polite. Thank you, Lord Supreme for not killing. Jinglu said with tears in her beautiful eyes, Lord Supreme, I heard from your parents that you died in reincarnation, so you are still alive. If my parents knew, they would be very happy. Tan Yun sighed and said, how did your parents die? Return to the Supreme Lord. Jinglu said with tears, 2,000 years ago, my parents died in the calamity. Alas! Tan Yun let out a long sigh. God has given you the Kunpeng family with golden eyes, and the other 5 Kunpeng clans don't have the innate supernatural powers. Similarly, it is also extremely cruel to the tribulation of your Kunpeng family with golden eyes. What are your plans in the future? Hearing this, Jinglu pursed her lips, Sir Supreme, can I follow you? I don't want to go back to Kunpeng Tianhai. Looking at Jinglu's uneasy look, Tan Yun said with a smile, of course I can. I'm low in strength now, with you, you can protect me. Really? Jinglu burst into tears, overjoyed. Well. Tan Yun said with a smile, also, my identity cannot be known to anyone. You can call me eldest brother from now on. Hearing this, Jinglu said happily, I'm not dreaming, right? Can I be called Big Brother Supreme? You're not dreaming. Tan Yun's expression suddenly became solemn, remember, don't mention the word supreme again. Well, I wrote it down. Jinglu nodded heavily, then looked at Shen Subing and asked, who are you? I'm your sister-in-law. Shen Subing smiled. I've seen my sister-in-law. Jinglu called out sweetly. Afterwards, Tan Yun and the 2 daughters entered the water curtain cave, let the people and beasts in the Lingxiao pagoda come out, and introduced Jinglu to everyone. The crowd and the beasts were quite excited when they learned that Jinglu was a 6th-class heavenly beast. This is a powerful hitter. He. At this time, King Qianluo Lengxiong scratched his head and looked at Tan Yundao, Master, in the future we have Jinglu by our side. So can't we just walk sideways in the fierce abyss of gods? You are a big-headed ghost. Tan Yun pouted the corners of his mouth speechlessly, and then his expression became solemn. In order to prevent the strong Zhanjia from coming, we must leave the fierce abyss of gods as soon as possible. At this moment, Tan Yun suddenly remembered something. Ling Kong flew out of the water curtain cave, and when he beckoned, a sound transmission talisman rose up from the waterfall pool below and took it into his hand. This sound transmission talisman was left behind after the death of Fang Cai Dong. Fang Dong, talk, how is the situation over there now? At this time, Zhong Zuyun's anxious voice was heard in the sound transmission palace. Tan Yun's voice changed, becoming the voice of Fang Dong's old man, and his tone was terrified. Eldest young master, it's not good. I'm afraid this old slave is not the opponent of that kid. Master, have our Zhanfu reinforcements arrived? Immediately, Zhong Zuyun's voice sounded again, didn't I tell you before? Zhanji has already brought people, just outside the fierce abyss of gods. Hearing this, Tan Yun pretended to be frightened and panted, eldest young master, this old servant is worried. Zhanji is not the opponent of that kid. Eldest young master. What realm is Zhanji? and how many people he has brought. After Tan Yun finished speaking, John Zuyan sternly shouted from the sound transmission magic rune, Fang Dong, are you scared? John Ji is a 5th class semisage, don't you know? Also, don't worry, John Ji also brought 200 gods. At this time, John Zuyan paused at the exit of the fierce abyss of the gods, and he suddenly roared, you are not Fang Dong. Fang Dong cannot be unaware of John Ji's strength. Then, from the sound transmission talisman in John Zuyan's hand, Tan Yun's sneer came out, damn, I'm certainly not Fang Dong. Dong Dong and the people he led were all killed by Lao Tzu. And remember, sooner or later, I will grab your head and kick it as a ball. After listening to this, John Zuyan's entire lungs exploded with anger. He roared at the sound transmission rune, boy, listen to me clearly. My eldest young master, there are 5th class semisages guarding the exit of the fierce abyss of the gods, and next, there will be 200 gods entering the fierce abyss of the gods. You motherfucker, just let this young master wait to die. At this time, Tan Yun's indifferent voice sounded again in the sound transmission talisman, is that so? Lao Tzu's life is very tough, don't talk nonsense, just kill Lao Tzu if you have the ability. After that, there was no more sound coming out of the sound transmission rune in John Zuyan's hand. I'm mad at me. John Zuyan yelled angrily. The eldest young master calms down his anger. With his subordinates here, he cannot fly with his wings attached. Yushu Linfeng's Janji said with murderous intent, what to do next, please tell the eldest young master. Whoosh hoot. John Zuyan took a deep breath, calmed down, and said with a gloomy face, John Ji, you accompany me to guard the exit, and the other 200 gods, all go in and search for me. Use the soul search technique to search the memories of all the gods inside. Hearing that, 200 gods from the 1st to the 9th class flew into the fierce abyss of gods after taking their orders. At the same time, the eastern waterfall in the depths of the fierce abyss of gods. Inside the water curtain cave, the anger was suppressed and terrifying. Everyone did not expect that so many gods would come to the exhibitor. That's all, there is actually a 5th class semisaint. Everyone, don't panic. After Tan Yun comforted everyone, his eyes were fixed on Jinglu. Kuanping is known for his speed. You fly with all your strength, and your speed is comparable to that of a semisage. Jinglu thought for a while and said, it should be on par with the 5th class semisage, but my stamina is much stronger than that of humans. Okay, very good. Tan Yunji said with a sneer, Jinglu, you took us out of the fierce abyss of gods, and Zhangji may not be able to catch up with you. Also, when you pass through the exit of Shiyuan of the gods, listen to my password. I want to see if there is a chance to kill Zhang Zuyan. Jinglu nodded heavily, well, okay. Later, Tan Yun let Shen Subing and others and all the beasts enter the Lingxiao pagoda. As soon as Tan Yun thought about it, the tower of Lingxiao turned into a beam of light. After drilling into Tan Yun's right ear, he seemed to think of something and asked, Xiaolu, why do you hate Zhong Peng? Jinglu said, brother, I heard that in the past, after you escaped back to the Hongmeng God realm, after being injured in the extraterritorial universe, it was your guard Zhong Peng who disclosed your news to the Supreme God King. Later, the Supreme God King told your news to Lingxia Tianzuan who betrayed you. It's also this ungrateful person who told her husband Chaos Heavenly Venerate where you were hiding. So Chaos Heavenly Venerate told the news to his master, that bitch. In the end, the Supreme Chaos and the Supreme Originator joined forces to kill you. Hearing this, Tan Yun nodded, with a strong killing intent in his eyes, you are right. Zhong Peng, Supreme God King, Lingxia Tianzuan, the 3 people I trusted most in the past, but betrayed me. Sooner or later, one day, I will let them live rather than die. After hearing this, Jinglu smiled and said, brother, I believe in you, you will definitely be able to take revenge. Yeah. Tan Yun smiled. Brother, where are we going after we leave the fierce abyss of the gods? Jinglu said softly, otherwise, I'll take you to Kunpeng Qianhai. Kunpeng of the 6 clans will definitely be loyal to you if they know that you are going. Tan Yun shook his head and said, don't go to Kunpeng Qianhai. Why? Brother doesn't trust the Kunpeng 6 clan. Jing Lu said. It's not that I don't trust. Tan Yun Jian frowned and said, it's that Kunpeng Qianhai is too far away from here, and there are no cultivation resources there. I plan to leave the fierce abyss of the gods now, and go to other gods to find the gods of the gods and the snakes of the earth. Oh, by the way, Xiaolu, do you know that after the fall of myself in the past, what are the newly formed gods in the Hongmeng god realm? It is best to have treasures in it. Yes. Jinglu said truthfully. After leaving the fierce abyss of the gods, fly to the south for 3 years, and then you will arrive at Qingyang Shenhu Lake. At the bottom of the Qingyang Shenhu Lake, there is an ancient teleportation array, and through the teleportation array, you will reach the ancient ***** realm. Hearing this, Tan Yun frowned. I know about Qingyang Divine Lake, but I don't know that there is a teleportation formation at the bottom of the lake, and what is the difference between the ancient gods and the gods experienced by other gods? Jinglu explained, brother, the teleportation formation at the bottom of the lake is extremely ancient, and it was discovered by someone unintentionally, just 30,000 years ago. As for the ancient gods, there are a lot of cultivation resources, and there are also many heavenly beasts. At the same time, they are also the gods of the gods. They often go to the place to experience treasures. It is said that after this ancient **** was discovered at that time, Shuyuan Supreme, Chaos Supreme, and Lingxia Tianzuan all went to see it in person. They finally believed that this ancient divine realm is not an independent space that exists in our current universe, but an ancient time and space that survived after the last universe collapsed. Also, in this ancient ***** realm, there are also strange buildings. Oh yes, that is, at that time, I heard that the 2 Supreme and Lingxia Tianzuan found a giant woman inside. But the giant woman is dead, but the strange thing is that although the woman has been dead for thousands of years, the body is well preserved. Later, not long after the news came out, the 2 Supreme and Lingxia Tianzuan ordered that no one in the 3 gods should discuss women's affairs in private. Hearing this, Tan Yun frowned, as if thinking of something, and muttered to himself, could it be her? At this moment, Tan Yun thought of the soul-devouring abyss, one of the 2 forbidden places in the 9 heavens immortal realm. The soul-eater abyss also appeared 30,000 years ago, which coincides with the time when the ancient gods were discovered. Tan Yun thought of the beautiful woman in the giant coffin, in the skyscraper array, in the depths of the soul-devouring abyss. He suspected that she was the giant woman discovered by the 2 supreme beings in the realm of the ancient gods. Tan Yun nodded and said, yes, it must be the 2 supreme beings who wanted to revive the woman, so she was sent to the 9 heavens of Hongmeng immortal realm, opened up the soul-devouring abyss, and set up a giant that devoured the immortal soul, immortal power, and blood essence. Array, help the woman resurrect. Thinking about this, Tan Yun decided to go to the ancient ***** realm. While looking for cultivation resources, he might be able to find out the origin of the giant beauty. Let's see why Shuyuan Supreme and Chaos Supreme want to resurrect her. After making up his mind, Tan Yun looked at Jing Lu and said, leave the fierce abyss of the gods and go to Qingyang Shenhu. Okay, brother. As soon as Jing Lu finished speaking, he flew out of the water curtain cave and transformed into a huge golden bird in the sky above the rushing waterfall. Her whole body feathers are golden and dazzling, and her pair of sharp claws are like an indestructible weapon, which makes people watch and move. This is the divine bird Jintong Kunpeng. She has sharp claws that are comparable to the ninth-order top-quality artifacts. When the power of her golden eyes is released, it is enough to overturn the river with the flapping of her wings. Tan Yun is even more aware that this is not Jing Lu's fighting form. Once she activates the fighting form, her body size can skyrocket to 30,000 zhong. With the strength of her 6th class celestial beast, she could easily destroy the 8th class celestial god. If you don't fight endlessly, you won't be afraid of a 1st class semisage. At the same time, God gave her an unparalleled flying speed in the same realm. Kunping is known as one of the 3 fastest flying gods in the 3 gods. And it is also at the top of the speed of the 3 gods. Even the speed of the dragon of the same level is inferior to that of the Kunping race. Brother, come up. Jin Tong Kunping spit out his voice in a pleasant voice. Okay. With a bright smile, Tan Yun flipped his right hand and the black robe came out of his hand. Tan Yun quickly put on a black robe, and after covering his handsome face, only a pair of eyes were exposed, and he flew out of the waterfall and jumped on the back of the golden pupil Kunping. Whoosh dash! The golden pupil Kunping carried Tan Yun, like a golden lightning that pierced the sky above the fierce abyss of the gods, soaring towards the exit of the fierce abyss of the gods. The speed is astonishing. Time flies, 8 months later. During this period, Zhong Zuyuan's subordinates, 200 gods, had already gone to Shuiliandong to look for Tan Yun, but they found that the building was already empty. In the 8 months, they searched almost all the gods and fierce abyss, and also searched for the memories of countless people and gods, but they never found Tan Yun. When they searched angrily, they did not know that at this moment, Jin Tong Kunping, carrying Tan Yun, was about to arrive at the exit of the fierce abyss of gods. At the same time, at the exit of the fierce gods, Zhong Zuyuan has not found the murderer for so long, and the anger in his heart can be imagined. Looking at Zhong Zuyuan's angry look, the more than 290 old men of the earth god behind him were so frightened that they didn't dare to take a sip. Mummy, is this kid a mouse? Zhong Zuyuan yelled, how can you hide like this? He killed so many of us. Young master, calm down. Zhong Ji bowed respectfully and said, as long as we keep the exit, we will catch him sooner or later. Hearing this, when Zhong Zuyuan was about to say something, Zhong Ji's expression suddenly became solemn, and he hurriedly asked, eldest young master, did the person who killed the second young master wear the black robe before the second young master, covering his body? Face. That's right. Zhong Zuyuan's eyes lit up and he hurriedly said, what did you find? Zhong Ji grinned and said, eldest young master, my subordinates discovered that a golden-winged Kunping is coming towards us at high speed. On Kunping's back, there is a man with a black robe covering his face, who is also a 6th-class god. It must be him. I don't know how to convince the golden-winged Kunping to take him to escape from the fierce abyss of the gods. Hearing this, Zhong Zuyuan released his consciousness and found that there was indeed a huge golden light beam coming towards him at high speed from the void beyond the 100,000 immortals. Due to the extremely fast speed of the golden pupil Kunping, Zhong Zuyuan, the 9th-level earth god, could not see what the golden light beam was at all. It was even more difficult to see clearly Tan Yun, who was dormant on Kunping's back. The reason why Zhong Ji sees it clearly is because it is a 5th-class semisage. Although Zhong Zuyuan couldn't see clearly, he still trusted Zhong Ji, and ordered sharply, whether the man on the back of the golden-winged Kunping is the murderer of my second brother, he must be cut off first. Subordinates obey. After Zhong Ji took the order, a 5th-order mid-grade artifact sword flew out of his mouth. Whoosh! He took the battle knife into the air, and hovered majestically above Zhong Zuyuan's head, exuding the tyrannical aura of a 5th-class semisage, and a stern roar sounded like a thunderous explosion. Golden-winged Kunping, stop for me, otherwise, kill without mercy. At this moment, Jin Tong Kunping transmitted a voice to Tan Yun, brother, I can perceive that this person is a 5th-class semi-sacred strength, and it should be Zhangji. Tan Yun knew that Kunpeng, the golden pupil, had the ability to perceive the strength of any Protoss. Since she said that the other party was a 5th-class semi-sage, then the designation could not be wrong. Brother, hold on tight to me. I will fly with all my strength later and take you out. A pair of giant pupils showed a deep and solemn look in the sound transmission of Kunpeng with golden pupils. She knew very well that she only had speed and should be on par with the opponent. In terms of strength, none of the 10 herself would be Zhangji's opponent. Because my realm is too low to face Zhangji. Tan Yun's eyes showed a hint of slyness and ferocity, and he returned to normal. He said quietly, in Zhangji's mind, you are nothing but speed. He must not have expected that we will attack Zhong Zuyun. So after a while, you fly at the fastest speed, turn around suddenly when you are close to Zhangji, and pretend to escape towards the fierce abyss of the gods to test Zhangji's speed. If his speed is really on par with you, then, after introducing him into the fierce abyss of the gods, kill him with a carbine, rush out of the fierce abyss, and attack Zhong Zuyun suddenly. Hearing this, Jin Tong Kunpeng said, brother, do you want to catch him and threaten Zhangji? Threats are not the goal. Tan Yun said viciously, I want to kill him. Okay, I understand. Jin Tong Kunpeng's voice transmission, when he was less than 1,000 miles away from Zhangji, suddenly galloped towards the exit of Shiyuan on the left, as if he wanted to escape around him. You are a mere 6th-class heavenly beast, and you still want to play tricks in front of me. Since you don't stop, then I will kill you. Zhangji held the sword, and the semi-sacred power of the wind burst out from his body, bringing a whirlwind of 10,000 feet, and killing Kunpeng with golden pupils. The speed is so fast that it is 30% faster than the speed of Jin Tong Kunpeng. Tan Yun pretended to be frightened, and shouted anxiously, we can't escape, and returned to the fierce abyss of gods. So, Jin Tong Kunpeng turned around and fled into the fierce abyss of gods. Zhangji increased his speed to the extreme, kept getting closer to Jin Tong Kunpeng, and grinned again and again, bastards, you can't escape. How is Xiao Lu? Tan Yun hurriedly transmitted his voice. Jin Tong Kunpeng said, brother, I think his speed is slightly lower than mine. Okay, that's good. Tan Yun was excited and said, be ready to turn around at any time, with the fastest speed, go and catch Zhong Zuyun. Part 1 end here.